and welcome to A Be Kind Connects Live. I have Kieran from Key to Health here. Hello, Kieran.
Hi, Gia. Thanks for having me today.
Thank you so much for coming on. You have so much expertise, and we're so excited to hear about it. But first, can you tell me a little bit about your vegan journey and Key to Health?
Sure, I'd love to. So, I've actually been vegetarian for most of my life. When I was younger, my parents kind of went vegetarian and kind of transitioned the whole family. And so, I was vegetarian for a long time, and I was a complete junk food vegetarian. I was not healthy. And I didn't really start to get healthy until I had my daughter when I was 28. And I realized that she had some GI issues and some gut issues that were impacting her health. And so I decided to kind of really delve into the research and get back into, just learning and studying. And so I went back to school, became a nutritionist, a holistic nutritionist, so that I could help her. And then in the process, I loved it so much. I started a new career out of it. And then it wasn't really until I was still a vegetarian for a while, and I kept thinking that I'm being kind to animals, and there's nothing wrong with having dairy and occasional eggs. I didn't really have eggs actually; it was mostly just dairy, but heaps of dairy. I had loads of cheese and butter, and I didn't really drink milk. And then I just started to notice that okay, um, it's not sitting well with my body all that much. So I started to reduce it anyway. And then when I started to just do more research into the animal agriculture industry, I mean, once you see those videos, once you open your eyes to what's actually going on out there, you can never go back. You can never just
You
turn a
can't
blind eye to
unsee
it
that.
again. Yeah. So it was a little over a year ago that I really started to think, okay, what's going on? And I would hear stories that no, this is only in the US. It doesn't happen in Canada. If you're getting Canadian dairy, it's not like that. So I
Mhm.
did some more research and it was, that wasn't true. That wasn't the case. It happens here in Canada too. And then I really just started reading more about it and really just thinking more about it. You know what? These are sentient beings. Um, you know, these are not souls that were created just for us to basically, raise in captivity in these horrible conditions, even if they're not in horrible conditions on these very, very rare, mom and pop farms where people think, oh, we're buying grass fed or we're buying this. I did that for a while too. I did the grass fed thing. I thought I'm just going to buy grass fed and that makes it okay. I understand the mindset that people come from because I was in that mindset as well. And finally, I just thought, no, like there is no way that this is okay. There's no way to make it okay. And so I went completely vegan. And then my daughter followed shortly after, which I wasn't sure if she was going to because her dad is an omnivore and I wasn't sure and I wasn't going to force it. But I'm really happy that she just naturally kind of followed and said, no, I don't want to do this either. And, she wanted to start like an animal rights club and she's so into it and it warmed my heart. But it's definitely been an easy transition for us just because I'd started limiting dairy so long ago. And so when we did about just a little over a year ago, completely take out dairy, it wasn't really, I mean, it wasn't that hard. We weren't so addicted to it the way most people are because we had already reduced it so much. But I know that for people who are still very much addicted to it, it can be a very difficult transition. Yes. And so back to Key to Health, how I got into that. So I had already, started working as a nutritionist. I was already focusing on plant-based because, I was plant-based myself. And it's just something that blossomed from, my daughter's journey and my journey. And I kind of worked on my health and her health. And in the process, I started helping other people. And when I was in school, when I went back to school, I did case studies on family and friends, and they saw a difference as well. And I love making that difference in people's lives and just educating people and helping people, overcome their health issues. And even just to have that hope of, you don't have to live with this. You don't have to live like this. This isn't normal to live this way. And you can do it in a way where you're not harming other beings either.
I know there's so many alternatives out there right now, and
Mm-hmm.
just being able to introduce that to people and making that mind shift. And I think usually in the beginning of the year, a lot of people are more open to that because,
Yes.
usually in December, the holidays, they're not eating too well and they don't feel that great. And so January tends to be the month that people are saying, okay, I'm going to make some change. And even
Yes.
small changes make a big difference.
Yes. And any nutritionist or dietitian will tell you that December is usually kind of a slow month because people don't want to make dietary changes
No.
just before the holidays or during the holidays. No one has that on their minds. They're all thinking, no, I'm going to put this off another month. And then all of a sudden, January gets very busy.
Yeah, so I would love it if you kind of talked a little bit about, the signs that people ignore about their health, and why it's important not to ignore these signs and what it could possibly be doing.
Yes. So I always like to say, the thing that I always tell people is that common does not equal normal. So what we've accepted as normal is really not normal. Just because something is common and, we see that so many people have these symptoms, or, your doctor says, oh yes, so, I see this all the time. It's normal. It's common. Common is not normal. So we need to kind of get that out of our heads. Just because something is common, same with the, animal agriculture industry, just because it's common doesn't mean we should just accept it as normal, and that it's something that, we should just accept as something that we just have to do, or it's just the way of life. So I want to start with, I'm going to go over kind of 5 signs that you should really be looking at. One is your gut. So any signs in your gut, that's a really big giveaway. And so when I say any signs in your gut, I mean any GI symptoms at all. So if you've got chronic constipation, or kind of reoccurring diarrhea, or bloating or heartburn, any chronic symptoms, they shouldn't be there. So you shouldn't constantly be constipated. And when I say constipated, I don't mean someone who just never goes. You could be going every single day but still be constipated because the texture or the consistency isn't quite right, and you're still not actually fully kind of relieving your bowels every day. And with, heartburn, and so many people recognize these as just normal symptoms, that, oh, it's fine, I can just pop a pill and I'll be fine. I just pop a pill every day for my heartburn and I'm okay. And that actually ends up doing more damage in the long run if you ignore those symptoms and just put these Band-Aids over them. And so any of these chronic GI symptoms that you have, don't ignore them, especially if that's the only symptom that you have. You're actually very lucky then. You're fortunate. That's probably much easier to just nip in the bud now than if you were to wait until you've got other symptoms going on as well. So that's number 1. Number 2 is to really look at your skin, and if there's any chronic signs there as well. So skin is huge. And for myself, this is usually where I can first see signs of, okay, something's out of balance. I need to kind of reassess and figure out what I need to change. So anything. So it could be acne. And I'm not talking about just your, say you have a job interview and you wake up with a pimple the next morning. I'm not talking about those kind of scenarios. I mean, if you have chronic acne, if you have chronic eczema, if you have rosacea, psoriasis, any chronic rashes or chronic dryness, say if your skin is always super dry, in the winter, especially here in Canada right now, everyone's probably got dry skin. So you do need to look at what else is going on. But if your skin is always dry year round and it's excessive, then that's something that you need to pay attention to, because that's your body telling you something's out of balance, something's not right in your diet, something is out of whack, and you need to fix that. So
I know
that's
usually whenever people go vegan, the number one thing they say is your skin just glows.
yes.
And it's like, a side effect. And I always get told that. They're like, your skin is so clear. And I'm like, because I'm eating real food.
Yeah, exactly. When you take out a lot of those inflammatory foods, your skin will look great. And, it doesn't always happen that way for everyone, because sometimes there's other things going on underneath the surface. But a lot of the time, I've noticed that as well, that does happen. So that's, the number 2 sign that I really want people to be aware of and just constantly monitoring. So number 3 is your energy levels. It's not normal, although it's common, it's not normal to not be able to get through the day without coffee, or without 3 to 5 cups of coffee, or however many you may be having. Especially if you are getting, your 6 to 8 hours of sleep and you're still not able to survive without coffee, that's a sign that something is out of balance in your body, and you need to really, get some help for that and figure out what's going on. Because our bodies are these great little factories, and they make plenty of energy for us to use if we're feeding it the right fuel. And by fuel, I don't mean loads of caffeine.
That makes me
So
laugh because people always tell me, they're like, "You don't like coffee?" And I'm like,
yeah,
"I don't need it. I have
yeah,
energy." And I know people who drink 1 to 3 cups of coffee because they're like, "I can't function without it." And it's
yes.
fine. It's good. I know the smell, it's good for your body, but not everyone needs coffee.
Not everyone needs it, and it's not good for everyone. So there are different genetic variations where some people can metabolize it very well and it's actually beneficial for them and they can reap the health benefits of coffee. But for others, they actually don't metabolize it very well. And so that's just a genetic variation. But it, again, we shouldn't need it. So if you drink coffee because you do metabolize it well and you feel, great with it, and but you know that you can do without it, you know that you can survive without it, that is okay. But when you actually need caffeine to get through the day, that's when it's a problem. And that's when you need to reassess. Okay, I need to figure out what's going on. I need to fix my diet. I need to, fix your hormones, most likely if you're having issues with energy, and just really take that step back and reassess. So that's number 3. Number 4 is, kind of brain fog or difficulty concentrating. This is a common one. And a lot of people are also dependent on caffeine for this as well. They feel like they can't think without caffeine and they need that jolt. And so, if you really feel like you're having issues with even mood, so, I'll tie mood into this one as well. If you have constant issues with your mood and you're constantly feeling down and anxious, and there really isn't anything going on in your life that would kind of warrant that, there's no situational anxiety or depression, and it's just constant, that's something that you really need to look at as well, because a lot of it is linked to our diet and our lifestyle habits. And there's a lot we can do in terms of helping our mood and, just our brain power. So if you feel like you can't concentrate, and I'm not talking about, the new moms who are constantly sleep deprived and they've got baby brain. I'm not talking about that. That is actually normal. I'm talking about people who aren't in that stage of life, but who constantly feel like they have brain fog and they just can't concentrate, or they're extremely forgetful. That's something that is also a sign that you need to reassess your diet and your lifestyle and kind of figure out what's going on under the surface there to make you feel that way.
And the fact that you said depression is a big thing that I didn't connect, but that definitely makes sense. When you're not eating your best, you don't feel your
Yes.
best, and then that I can see how that trickles down.
Yes, definitely. And it's a two-way street. So it's it's difficult with issues like depression and anxiety because there's almost this threshold that I find, I've seen this with clients, with friends, that if you are below a certain threshold, you don't have the motivation
Yeah.
to feed yourself well, to nourish yourself and take care of yourself. And so you just get stuck. And that's when you really need to rely on external help to get you up past that threshold where, you still need to work on your mood, but you're at a level where you have enough motivation to, nourish your body well and, go out for walks and get that movement in and take care of yourself.
That's important.
So that was number 4. Number 5 is allergies. Now, this is one that, because I work with kids a lot as well. And so allergies are, it just irks me so much that they're just accepted as normal now because it seems like everybody has them. At least everybody has them, or everybody knows lots of people who have them. It's not normal to go outside in, beautiful nature and not be able to stop sneezing or coughing, or, for children to get severe asthma from just being outside in nature. It's not normal. It may be common. Unfortunately, it's become very common, but it's not normal. And it's a sign that your body is not working the way it needs to. So allergies are basically just your immune system reacting to harmless things, to things that wouldn't cause you harm. It's an overreactive immune system. And our immune systems are not meant to be overreactive. And so that's especially with mild allergies and just allergies to, random things like pollen or grass. I always like to remind people that's actually a very early warning sign that your immune system is not working right. Because if you wait and wait and wait, then we start to see other issues like autoimmune conditions and much more severe diseases later on. So these early symptoms, these early signs that seem kind of mild and you think, well, everybody has this, it's not a big deal. It's really a wake-up call to do something about it now before it festers and grows into something much more serious. And who wants to live like that anyway? Who wants to live without being able to go outside and, enjoy nature and enjoy the sunshine without sneezing or coughing or getting, a nasal drip?
Just the fact that you said, I know food allergies, some people family members, that they took those blood tests that kind of give you, it was like a list of all these foods. And I was like, and it tells you what level that you might have, an allergy towards. And I'm like, this is like majority of everything that I eat, and I'm like, usually you want to listen to your body that says, okay, yes, I understand gluten or I understand this, but I'm like, this list was like hundreds of things that could possibly be causing these issues. And I'm like, you have to listen to your body. And if you're feeding your body more whole foods, then you
Hmm.
will. Yes, I know some people may have an allergy towards maybe like berries or something, but when I read that list, I was like, oh my gosh, I think I think you should talk to an expert as opposed to listening to one of these blood tests that could
Yes.
definitely have a lot of issues, and false positives and things of that nature.
Yes, exactly. And the problem with a lot of these food sensitivity tests is that they will, like you said, flag, dozens and dozens of foods. And then you have this very restricted diet.
Hmm.
And most people don't need to be on a very restricted diet. It's much easier to just listen to your own body and listen to your own symptoms. And okay, if I eat this, I don't feel that great. And a lot of people, when they do develop multiple food sensitivities, it's really an issue with their gut. It's really an issue with their digestion and the integrity of their gut lining. And so once they kind of address that, then they no longer have all of these issues with all of these different foods. So a lot of people do make that mistake where they will cut out all of these foods and then do nothing else, and then they're on this really restricted diet, so they're not getting the variety of nutrients that they need. They're not enjoying food and they're not really fixing anything. It's just a band-aid approach. And so
Yeah.
it's really important to get to that underlying cause.
And if somebody was having any of these issues, they could reach out to someone like yourself because you
Yes.
have the expertise and you would be able to help guide them to help them improve their health and feel better
Yes.
every day.
Yes, definitely. And so, with things like allergies and all of these symptoms, they all, the way I work is that everything is kind of linked to the gut and the immune system. And I take this approach where the gut is the foundation. So usually when there's any symptoms going on at all, there is going to be, some sort of issue going on in the gut. So we figure out what that is, we address it. And once we address that, then we can start focusing on, the immune system and other ways of balancing it and just making it less reactive and just functioning at its best, fighting off viruses and germs, what it's supposed to be doing, and not fighting off pollen.
Yes.
Yes.
You need especially nowadays, you need a very strong immune system to keep yourself
Yes.
healthy and happy.
Yes, definitely. And I do. So those are my 5 signs that I wanted to go over, but I do want to throw in a bonus sign that's for women only, because men can't use this sign. But for women only, your periods are a great sign. So your periods are basically a monthly report card. And if your periods are kind of wonky and they're irregular, or if they're just not they're not healthy periods every month, that's also a sign that something is wrong in your body. You need to address that. You need to figure out what's going on and fix it before it turns into something worse. And also, so many women suffer from horrible periods, from very painful periods. And again, while that may be common, it's not actually normal. So what you grew up thinking is normal because, well, your family and your friends are always complaining about it too. It's actually not normal, and you don't have to live that way.
That was a lot of information and it was so helpful because I think people tend to ignore some of these things thinking that it is
Yes.
normal, but it really isn't. So this is a great time to reassess how you feel every day. And if something doesn't seem right, you should be taking a look a little deeper into what is going on.
Yes, definitely. And I always like to say that these little symptoms, these little signs, are basically your body's distress signals. Your body is sending you distress signals that, hey, you need to pay attention. And so pay attention.
Yes. Well, Karen, thank you so much for coming on, talking to us today. You guys can find her at ketahealthnc.com and on the Be Kind app
Yes.
and
And I'm
on
also
social
over
media as
on,
well.
yes, I'm over on Instagram. It's at Keto Health NC. And yeah, I'm always kind of sharing my reels and my tips. And I also have a Facebook group, actually, that for those of you who have children and you're raising, plant-powered children, I have a Facebook group called Raising Healthy Plant-Powered Kids. And so you can also join me over there, and I share lots of tips about just how to raise healthier kids on a plant-based diet.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time. Everyone, make sure you go to Keto Health NC, find them on the Be Kind app, and connect with her. Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you so much for having me, Gia.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.
On episode 1 of Vibes, we're taking you inside Bestie's Vegan Paradise, the 100% vegan marketplace in East Hollywood. There, we'll meet with co-founder and owner Asia Rain and learn more about the story behind Hollywood's favorite vegan grocery store. Our co-hosts, professor and television host Shabnam Islam and LA-based actor and writer Jill Galbraith, will face off in a cruelty-free contest inspired by Supermarket Sweep inside of Bestie's. Come join us for an exciting first episode of Vibes, the show that's busting vegan stereotypes one city at a time.